Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was The Exorcist Believer, making $3.2 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $59 million and a worldwide total of $120 million. So once again, it's not like it's holding terribly or anything, especially given this specific movie, $100 million worldwide on a $30 million budget. That's fantastic to see. Definitely profitable for this movie for sure. And once again, it doesn't seem like it's getting hurt a lot by the word of mouth. I mean, well, it has. But in terms of its hold, it's not like it's dropping or plummeting that much. Even this weekend with very stiff competition, it was still able to hold at 43%, which is pretty solid, I must say. But once again, the downside here though is that this is definitely not what they were hoping for this movie. This is supposed to be their next big horror franchise, and with how much they spent on the rights, that you could tell they were definitely expecting a much bigger turnout for this movie, and it just hasn't delivered on that aspect. So again, if we're just discussing this movie on its own, regardless of how much they spent, regardless of how this is supposed to start a franchise, this is good. It's not great, but you know, it's good. It's gonna surpass 60 million domestically, the doubling point of the $30 million budget. Domestically, worldwide, it's already done that, and it's already quadrupled that, as a matter of fact, which is also fantastic to see. But once again, when you consider all the other X factors, this isn't the best where it should be, unfortunately. So yeah, overall, a pretty mixed bag for The Exorcist. This is definitely one of, if not the last time we will see it, and unfortunately, it will not leave the top 5 out with a bang. Rather, it is leaving the top 5 as a bit of a dud, unfortunately. Number 4 was After Death, opening with $5 million this weekend domestically, and that total stays the same worldwide as it hasn't been released in any international countries as of yet. That's right, folks. Angel Studios strikes again with another movie I was unaware would have this much of an impact on the top 5 at the box office. And hey, that's on me. I should have been more aware, but I didn't see a lot of marketing or buzz on this movie initially. But, you know, once again, like Sound of Freedom, not to the same degree as that movie, but similarly, it was able to shake up the top 5 and make a name for itself. If you are unaware, this is a movie. It's a documentary about people experiencing near-death situations and how they dealt with those situations, and it's very interesting to see this movie crack the top 5. Definitely found an audience for itself. It will be interesting to see its legs here. I don't think it's going to be like Sound of Freedom, where it becomes this massive phenomenon, as there was certainly a lot more conversation, a lot more of a talking going on with that movie. And here, I've heard some people talk about it, but it's not to the same degree as that. But I wouldn't be surprised if this movie has stellar legs, stellar word of mouth that makes it exceed box office expectations. Not to the degree, once again, of Sound of Freedom, but certainly something that could surprise. Again, this is Angel Studios. They definitely found an audience that will go see their movies, and we'll see what happens here. But yeah, this is a pretty good start to this movie. I don't know what the budget is, but given it's a documentary, I can't imagine it costed that much. Yeah, still, overall, the fact that this cracked the top 5 is pretty solid achievement, and the fact that it made this much is also pretty solid to look into. So yeah, overall, a good start for After Death. Number 3 was Killers of the Flower Moon, making $9.3 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $40 million and a worldwide total of $56 million. So this movie took quite a hit in its second weekend, as it fell 60% this weekend, which is not what you want to see for your film in its second weekend, unfortunately. I thought the word of mouth would carry on, you know, Martin Scorsese, the awards buzz, and the positive reception from critics and audiences. I thought, you know, maybe it could surpass expectations, and given that it's a new release model for Apple TV Plus, I thought it would become maybe not the next Elemental by any means, but something that could like be salvageable, I guess, but unfortunately it's not looking like that. I guess there's just isn't a lot of interest in this movie as I thought there was. Hopefully it can pick itself back up because this movie has a massive budget of $200 million. We're going to have to pray that it somehow makes that back, which is very unlikely. But I think best case scenario would be like if this pulled off a Transformers and suddenly had strong legs after its terrible second weekend drop off would probably be its only saving grace right now, because again, this is its second weekend. It's already looking not very good, and with a movie as expensive as this is, you're definitely going to need a lot more to salvage that budget. So yeah, things ain't looking too good for Killers of the Flower Moon, unfortunately. Hopefully it can pick itself back up once again. I mean, it did get a positive reception from audiences and critics, but yeah, still with the massive budget this thing has and the competition on the horizon. I mean, we're heading into November and there's a lot of movies coming out. I'm a bit concerned. So yeah, overall, not a great weekend for Killers of the Flower Moon. Number 2 was Taylor Swift The Eras Tour, making $15 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $150 million and a worldwide total of $202 million. So while not having a spectacular hold this weekend, it fell 54% prior to the previous weekend, which is still better than its over 60% drop off from last weekend, but still not great signs of legs. This is still a massive success overall, especially for a concert movie. Surpassing the $200 million milestone worldwide is insane. Once again, this shows the massive phenomenon that is Taylor Swift. Her fan base transcends the world pretty much, and all of them decided to go see this movie and support her, which is fantastic to see that this movie was able to bypass the typical studio method and make a name for itself. And now it's making huge blockbuster money despite, not the best legs, but still the numbers don't lie. This is a massive success. So again, while it may not have the best legs overall, this is still a huge financial success. I don't see how anyone can look at these numbers and being like, oh, this is not good. These are fantastic numbers, and we'll see how much further this movie can go from here. But yeah, overall, once again, a pretty solid weekend still for Taylor Swift despite not the best legs. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, which was Five Nights at Freddy's, opening with $80 million this weekend domestically and $132 million worldwide. So let's break this down. This is the 9th biggest opening weekend of the year, topping John Wick Chapter 4, but still sitting behind Oppenheimer, Taylor Swift, The Little Mermaid, Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Spider-Verse, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and Barbie. It is the 5th biggest opening for any movie released in the month of October, topping the 2018 Halloween film, but still sitting behind the first Venom movie, Venom Let There Be Carnage, Taylor Swift The Eras Tour, and Joker. It is the 2nd biggest opening for any movie based off of a video game, topping Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Pokemon Detective Pikachu, but still sitting behind the Super Mario Bros. Movie. It is the biggest opening weekend for any horror film this year, topping Scream 6, Insidious the Red Door, The Nun 2, and Megan. And lastly, it is Blumhouse's biggest opening ever, topping the 2018 Halloween film, Jordan Peele's Us, Paranormal Activity 3, and Halloween Kills. With all that said and done, it is safe to say that this is a massive opening for Five Nights at Freddy's. This just goes to show you how big the fan base is and how beloved this video game is, how for nearly a decade this video game has captured the hearts of many, and so many people were excited to see it. The buzz was super strong, the marketing was fantastic. It was the weekend before Halloween, and with a new horror movie out, it really benefited from that. And I think it also really captured the eye of a lot of the casual moviegoers who maybe know or heard of the game, or maybe even didn't hear about the game, and saw the trailers and marketing and said, oh, that actually looks pretty interesting. And it helped this movie become a huge juggernaut. This had $100 million opening worldwide, folks. That is insane for a horror movie and is absolutely exceptional for this horror movie in particular, as it only costed $25 million. This is definitely already more than a success at the box office, and we're only in its first weekend, folks. We'll see how it legs out. Audiences definitely like it more than the critics. Don't even get started on what the critics think of this movie. But the audiences seem to really like this movie, as it got the absolute rare A- cinema score for a horror movie. The most a horror movie could get in a positive cinema score rating is a B+, maybe, if you're really lucky. But the fact that this got an A- is absolutely insane to see. It will be interesting to see how word of mouth is on this movie. I could see this suffering a drop off, kind of like what happened with Scream 6, because even though that movie's a massive success and is currently, domestically at least, the biggest horror movie of the year, it still suffered a big drop off. And with this also on Peacock, I could also see the movie suffering a bit of a steep drop off next weekend, but otherwise, yeah, it's still in a pretty solid place right now. This is more than enough what it needed to make, let alone in its opening weekend. Definitely gonna crack 100 million domestically in a couple days probably, and I'm very looking forward to seeing how much further this movie can go. So yeah, overall a fantastic weekend for Five Nights at Freddy's. Definitely a great start. It definitely shows that this was the movie Universal should have put all of their eggs to, as opposed to The Exorcist. And yeah, once again, overall fantastic, great start. We'll see where it goes from here, but as I've mentioned several times already, it's off to a fantastic start. And those were your top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, and normally this would be the part of the video where I discuss the upcoming new wide releases and see how well I think they're going to do, but unfortunately I just don't have a lot to say about the new wide releases. I know Priscilla and What Happens Later are both scheduled to come out this weekend, but while I do think they're going to crack the top 5, I don't think they're going to leave a huge impact on it to me personally. Outside of film Twitter, I'm not seeing a lot of buzz and or a lot of marketing for either film, so I'm not expecting a whole lot for either, even though they're probably going to make a good amount for their budgets. In the grand scheme of things, I just don't expect a whole lot from them. So yeah, while I expect them to crack the top 5, not expecting big things from either of them, honestly. But we'll see how well those movies truly do, as well as the rest of the movies that land in the top 5 on the next Box Office. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.